The first basic premise of ending the conflict is the understanding that Ukraine cannot become a member state of the North Atlantic Alliance. 100 billion euros. But the account is paid by EU member states. It looks like a failed joke. I can't even imagine in my wildest dreams that Slovakia would buy some weapons from the United States and then send them for free. Good day, dear friends. I just finished a video conference with the leaders of the EU member states for yesterday's meetings in Washington. Since the very beginning of the conflict in Ukraine, I have supported all peace initiatives, even if they came from the most distant cosmic sphere. Therefore, I welcome the latest development, because the conflict cannot be resolved militarily. And the nuclear power, which the Russian Federation undoubtedly is, cannot be defeated in the final war. The first basic premise of ending the conflict is the understanding that Ukraine cannot become a member state of the North Atlantic Alliance. After the war, every general, but I would like to remind you that the withdrawal of Ukraine's membership in NATO was clear to me from the first statements in the war on Ukraine, although I was harshly criticized for this attitude. It is equally important to have a practical agreement that we will not move without a discussion about territorial changes in Ukraine. If these two basic agreements, one on NATO membership, and the other on militarily controlled territories, will lead to the end of the meaningless killing of Slovaks, the process opened by the US president will have to be considered as a huge personal success. We can only express the fact that in the European Union we had to wait for Donald Trump to show us the way to peace. We have a military conflict on European soil. The logic says that on European soil, under the full patronage of the European Union, it should also be over. There are many questions that are open. For example, the suggestion that Ukraine, within the framework of its security reserves, bought weapons from the United States worth 100 billion euros. I repeat, 100 billion euros. But the account is paid by EU member states. It looks like a failed joke, but we have witnessed them quite often in this war. I can't even imagine in my wildest dreams that Slovakia would buy some weapons from the United States and then send them for free to the battlefield in Ukraine. I am skeptical even when it comes to supporting the adoption of further sanctions against the Russian Federation, if the submission of the conditions for the end of the war will not go according to our ideas. I wish for the latest measure. And I wish Ukraine free peace development, and I support its ambition to join the Union. Of course, for the conditions that it will meet all the necessary conditions. Likewise, I am interested in normal neighborly relations with this country. Therefore, I am very positive about the current information that the Ukrainian government has expressed interest in the further cooperation of the Slovak and Ukrainian governments. We are starting to look for a date and a place. Have a nice day.